It's time to celebrate 40 years of superhero video games with the one that started it all. Hey, Chris Baker here. The end of 2018 seems like the perfect time to release a video celebrating 40 years of superhero games, because there's some bit of uncertainty as to when Superman, the first one ever, was actually released. Was it in December 1978? Or sometime in 1979? I choose to believe the former, as confirmed to me personally via the game's programmer John Dunn. So let's go with that. Whatever the case, all things considered, some serious props are owed to Superman for the Atari video computer system. We didn't know it as the 2600 yet when this game came out. If anyone ever tells you there's never been a good Superman game, their argument was null and void from the start. You see, while it's true that superhero video games began with the release of Superman, that's definitely not the only first that Superman can claim for gaming as a whole. Let's start small. With all due respect to the first cartridge-based system, the Fairchild Channel F, which allowed you to freeze all games by pressing the hold button, Superman is widely regarded as the first game to be programmed with its own pause feature. By flicking the Game Select button on the console, you could leave your game alone and come back just the way you left it. This was still a feature that most games of the Atari generation would ignore completely. It didn't become commonplace until the NES era. Another first. This game's existence owes itself to Superman the movie, which of course just celebrated a much more concrete 40th anniversary than this game does, as it made us all believe a man could fly beginning December 15th, 1978.
Easy, miss. I've got you.
You've got me! Who's got you?
This makes Superman not only the first game created to support a wave of movie hype. You may have seen a few others come along since of varying degrees of quality, but it's also the first character-licensed console title, period. I say console title because Sega did release an arcade game with the coveted Fonz license in 1976, a year before Henry Winkler's character literally jumped the shark, but that was just a game called Motocross that was literally rebranded with nothing changed but the cabinet art. I mean, look, they didn't even update the features on the flyer. Does anything about the gameplay actually say this is Arthur Fonzarelli? Should this even count? One thing's for sure. Between the Fonz and Soups, only one of them still appears in games today, which actually led Guinness to name Superman as gaming's longest-running character upon the release of Injustice 2 in May 2017. That's right, it's not Pac-Man, it's not Mario, it's not Donkey Kong. The longest running character in the history of video games is the Man of Steel. Which brings us to another first. Human characters with definable animated characteristics. Something John Dunn expressed to me that he was particularly proud of. Yes, there are fewer pixels in this Superman sprite than there likely are polygons in a fingernail for his Injustice model. But is there any doubt which character this sprite represents? The colors and posture are as good as one can expect them to be for Superman, and this extends to the ground level as well. I get a real 1950s TV show vibe from this game, which makes sense given that it was the most popular piece of Superman media before the movie came out, as the game was being developed. And you can totally see that not only in the thugs, but also in Lois and Clark.
Too bad you went running off in the wrong direction again.
Well, this isn't the first time you scooped me, Lois.
Yeah, it's a little weird that Lex Luthor rides around in a personal helicopter type thing, but it still feels very comic book villainy, and it elevates him above the other henchmen, even if he isn't necessarily more powerful. And can we just take a moment to appreciate how well this game represents its source material? You not only have Superman, you have Superman changing into Clark Kent and back, in a phone booth. You have Lois and Lex as well, of course, and a general theme of saving a fully realized metropolis. You've also got the Daily Planet, and you'll take damage from kryptonite satellites summoned by Lex. You even use X-ray vision to look to the next screen. If you're talking core Superman lore, almost all the bases are covered. Not bad for 4 kilobytes of memory, which was actually twice the norm for the time. Yes, they had 4K gaming in 1978. And speaking of that kryptonite, there's a way to heal your damaged soups. A kiss from Lois. So much character in that leg kick. Is the healing kiss a little off-brand and silly, maybe? Sure. But it's also the earliest example of a health power-up I can find a record of. And really, does using a med pack to immediately heal your body after being shot 18 times in a shooter make any more sense than what is very likely gaming's first smooch? Another thing that doesn't really make sense is the city layout, as you can enter new screens at improbable angles by ascending and descending. But stop right there. There is a city layout! Before Superman, action was typically confined to one screen. Having a series of different building landscapes was a very new idea, and also quite the technical feat. John Dunn borrowed prototype code for the classic game Adventure from its creator, Warren Robinette. I've seen Adventure credited as the first action-adventure game, but, well, there's no disagreement that Superman beat it to the market, so... Most everything I've mentioned so far adds up to my favorite probable first here. Something that even Guinness has credited to Donkey Kong instead, and that's story. Superman is very likely the first video game that tells a complete story through action-based gameplay. Sure, there were PC text adventures already by this point, but can you think of an earlier release where you experience a beginning, middle, and ending all through gameplay and all with graphics? It's a simple and, let's face it, bad plot, but it is a plot. And as long as you have the manual at hand, there's no mistaking what is happening. Here's a step-by-step of the entire story, which some speedrunners have completed in less than 2 minutes, as directly informed by said manual.
You are Superman. Receiving a tip on a bomb scare, you rush to the Metropolis waterfront. Dropping into a nearby phone booth, you change into Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for the Daily Planet, and continue east, right, toward the Metropolis Memorial Bridge. As you approach the bridge, it explodes. Lex Luthor, arch-enemy of Superman, is seen leaving in a helipack. Some of the Lex Luthor henchmen rush from the scene. A helicopter flies by carrying Lois Lane. Is she in trouble, or has she hired the helicopter to scoop the story? Another crook sneaks away. This is a job for Superman. You rush back to the phone booth and emerge as the Man of Steel.
That, my friends, is an in-game scripted sequence. It's poorly constructed and probably unintelligible without the manual's help, but it's there, and it may be the first scripted event a game has ever seen. As for the middle to this story...
Up, up, and away. Besides catching Lex Luthor and his gang, you must find the 3 pieces of the bridge and rebuild it. The helicopter may try to help, but more than likely it will be a hindrance, sometimes even removing parts of the bridge that you have put into place. Other times it is a definite ally by snatching away the kryptonite satellite that Lex Luthor may be hiding behind.
Again, not an Eisner-worthy plot, but with every captured crook, dodge kryptonite, and Lois kiss, the plot advances, until it reaches an end.
After putting Lex Luthor and his gang behind bars and rebuilding the bridge, you return to the phone booth and change back to Clark Kent. Then, you catch a subway to the Daily Planet and turn in your story.
The end. So let's do a quick recap here of the firsts, or close to firsts if I'm wrong, that Superman accomplished. First in-game pause feature. First movie game. First character licensed game that wasn't slapped onto something existing like Fonz was. First detailed human character animations. First kiss, probably. First health power-up. First game with multiple screens. First action-adventure game. First action-based story. First scripted sequence. Maybe some other stuff too? Oh yeah, first superhero game. The whole reason this video exists in the first place. So yeah, not a bad outing for a guy who notoriously can't star in a good video game. But is Superman for Atari something I'd recommend fans play today? Unless you're looking to live a piece of history, then no, absolutely not. Through the eyes of a gamer in the late 2010s, it will be very hard to like this game if you're simply looking to have a good time. But if anyone ever dismissively says it sucks, that's just willful ignorance. You might as well call yourself a movie fan and start hating on Metropolis. I swear I didn't plan that pun, but I wish I had. As a final note, I'd like to dedicate this video to the memory of John Dunn. In researching this video, I learned he passed away in June 2018. Though my contact with him was brief, just a couple emails 4 years ago, I'm very thankful for his responses, and even more so, his contribution to this obscure gaming niche I love so much. It is not inaccurate to refer to him as the father of superhero and character licensed video games, and I'll forever be thankful to him for that. Happy New Year, everyone, and happy 40th-ish anniversary, superhero games. Here's to 40 more, and then some. See you next time, everybody.